So coming from Fortune, Reid Hoffman says SpaceX is, quote, not an AI company, and XAI is, quote, a complete train wreck. So I kind of think this is an interesting story, not particularly for what Reid Hoffman has to say. I'm going to put something on the table. There are a lot of folks in Silicon Valley that like to say a lot of crap at the top of their lungs and want to pretend that they're right about everything, right? So the fact that some Silicon Valley titan basically has an opinion about a competitor company is not exactly a shocker there. What I think is interesting, and one of the things I've been talking about for a while now, is now we are seeing the technology oligarchs start backbiting each other, right? If you follow me for any length of time, you know I've talked about this for years. One of the weird things in the AI world is how nice everybody was to each other. Right? Well, I've been doing tech since 1996, and as I've said before, this is an incredibly passive-aggressive industry that really slides far more to the aggressive part of the spectrum much of the time, especially when you're dealing with executives and that type of deal, right? And that's what I'm used to. That's the environment that I like. And one of the weird things that's happened, especially with artificial intelligence, is you had all of these executives that should be going after each other tooth and nail, bricks and stones, just trying to metaphorically bash each other's brains out in order to get a larger market share. And instead, they're all had a kumbaya moment. It's like, you just sit there and you see like sworn enemies that really like normally should want to kill each other, and they're around a campfire roasting marshmallows. And you're like, you know what? I am even more scared of this particular situation. I would feel better if somebody pulls a gun out right now and tries to kill somebody else, because that would make sense. You all sitting around a campfire roasting weenies, that's a little bit weird. And one of the things that I posited is with the great AI fraud, that all of these people know it's a fraud. They know this technology is not going to bring the value that they're claiming that it's going to bring. They know it's not going to bring the returns that they're claiming it's going to bring. But the issue is, though, what's weird in this particular era of technology is they're all kind of sort of doing the same thing. Like if you look at OpenAI, and if you look at Anthropic, and if you look at XAI or Grok or whatever, and you look at even Google, it's all basically the same product. Like weirdly enough. Like I remember 8 years ago when artificial intelligence was this wide world of technologies. When you talked about AI, one of the big problems was the whole question of, but what are you actually talking? Are you talking about computer vision? Are you talking about voice recognition? Are you talking about autonomous robot, right? There was all of this technology. Anyways, 2026, basically what's happened with artificial intelligence is everything is LLM. LLMs are AI. Done, right? So anyways, basically, you have everybody using the exact same technology. They're trying to pontificate that's going to do stuff that it's simply not going to do, and the value creation is simply not what it's going to be. And so what you had is all of these big tech oligarchs. They were sitting around, roasting marshmallows and weenies with each other, all having a good old time, because what they fundamentally knew, is if they started bashing their competitors, especially publicly, anything they said about their competitors could be said about them, right? So if Google starts screaming that OpenAI simply cannot become profitable because the cost of inference will almost always exceed the amount of money that they can charge customers for that inference, the issue is people are then going to look at Google and say, you're basically doing the same stuff. Now Google has TPUs. Google at this point in time has some slightly different stuff, but more or less is the same stuff. It's like, well, if OpenAI can't be profitable, then you probably can't be profitable either, right? If OpenAI starts screaming about Grok or whatever not being able to reach AGI, right? There's no way to reach AGI. I have no idea why this is so important, to be clear. But anyways, right, but then there's the argument of like, well, if they can't reach AGI, why do we think you can reach AGI, right? And so that's what we saw. That's what we saw for years. This kumbaya, this everybody coming together, and it was weird. I didn't like it. I don't like it. Aspie doesn't like weird shit. Here's the thing. What you have to understand about Aspies is I don't understand intuiting. So intuiting is something called nonverbal communication. So apparently something like 90% of all human communication is actually nonverbal, right? How you smile, how you look, how you move your hands, all of that kind of stuff. As I've talked about before, when I was a kid, I was watching the Star Trek The Next Generation episode, and these aliens had taken over the Starship Enterprise, right? And they were far superior or whatever else. And then there's a certain point where the aliens are like on the bridge of the ship, and then Captain Picard looks at Riker. Riker nods at Worf and whatever, and then Data, whatever. Anyways, right? There's this whole nonverbal communication thing. And then basically these force fields like show up around the aliens, and the aliens are trapped. And that is how they save the Enterprise. And Jean-Luc Picard says, that is the thing. You may have superior technology to us, but we know each other, right? Simply by how we look at each other, I was able to tell Worf to put these force fields around you, and that is the thing you will never understand about humans. And I have to say, as a little kid, I was watching that, I was like, oh my God, you mean they'll be able to do that 300 years from now? Like humans will just be able to look at each other, and they'll understand things from looking at each other. That's amazing. And Dad's like, no, that's what humans do, Eli. That's what humans do. I'm like, what? So anyways, so the thing is an Aspie is we have to consciously do what most people do subconsciously. So most people can have this 90% communication, and it simply goes completely and utterly under the radar. They don't even realize it's happening. Their brains are attuned to do this, and it doesn't cost them any energy at all. Here's the thing, as an Aspie, I am burning CPU. Like my CPU is running at like 99%. I'm looking at all this stuff going on around me, and it's all very consciously coming in. My brain has to process what is going on and then try to walk through the minefield of human beings. It's a very, very concerning thing to do. And so that's one of the reasons I dislike when human beings are acting weird. Like I prefer assholes to be assholes. Like if you're gonna be an asshole, just be. I know, like if I know you're an asshole and you're acting like an asshole towards me, dude, I can deal with that. No problem. I know how to deal. My problem is when an asshole is being nice all of a sudden. You're like, does not compute, right? So that's one of my problems with the technology world, especially in the AI thing over the past number of years, is all these assholes. These are stone cold assholes. They've been very nice to each other. And I'm just like, I don't know how to deal with, how do you deal with this? So what's nice to see as the AI fraud is falling apart, right? As the wheels are coming off the vehicle, as everything is going to hell, oh my God, the knives are coming out. They still got the knife. I was worried, like, what happened to all those knives? That was a lot of knives. What happened to them? Don't worry, they kept all their knives. And so the knives are coming out, and now these executives are going after each other full fucking bore. And I'm here for it. This is what it is. I was like, oh, I understand this. I understand how this works. This makes sense. So that's what I find interesting about this with Reid Hoffman. Not particularly Reid Hoffman himself. It's simply that a person like Reid Hoffman is going after the competition. Reid Hoffman has watched the AI industry from virtually every vantage point as a founder, a lead investor, and as a decade-long Microsoft board member. So when he calls SpaceX's AI strategy, quote, buying your way into relevance, and describes XAI, quote, as a complete train wreck, is not a hot take from the sidelines, but a verdict from one of Silicon Valley's most respected voices. Oh, it just makes me feel so good. I know. You either understand or you don't understand. I don't know how to explain this to the kids out there, but it's just like, yeah, this is the world I know. This is the world I know. Quote, SpaceX isn't an AI company, Hoffman said in a conversation with Rana El Kaloubi on her Pioneers of AI podcast. Quote, XAI is, as Elon himself has described, it's a complete train wreck for its kind of building of foundational models and other kinds of things. He also noted that all of its founders have left and it's on its, quote, third restart. The XAI co-founder exodus has been well documented. By May of 2026, all 11 of XAI's original co-founders had departed the company. The timing of Hoffman's remarks is pointed. SpaceX went public on June 12th with AI central to its IPO narrative. Within days, the company announced it had acquired Cursor. Hoffman's Reid, that's not proof of AI capability, but evidence of its absence. Quote, you could almost think of it as IAC of AI, he said, invoking the serial acquisition roll-up strategy of Barry Diller's internet-era conglomerate. Quote, use the market cap to buy AI companies and try to buy your way into relevance. Which again, I would completely agree with, but it's kind of interesting just to hear Silicon Valley people talk about this. So basically what they're talking about here is that Elon Musk doesn't really have a real AI play. As I've been discussing, I don't understand what the AI play is, at least to a trillions of dollar valuation. And so his argument is the company IPOs, gets a massive amount of cash, and then essentially tries to buy its way into relevance, right? Buying Cursor for $60 billion. Who the hell else knows what they're going to buy? Trying to make the narrative make sense for this massive valuation is what he's talking about here. His assessment of SpaceX core compute business was equally withering. The company has positioned revenue from leasing AI infrastructure, including to Anthropic, as validation of its AI credentials. Quote, you're a premium priced CoreWeave, Hoffman said. I get it. That is not an AI company. So yeah, there we go. Hoffman is coming out swinging versus XAI, SpaceX, Elon Musk, and I'm here. I am here for this particular cage fight. Put the smile on my face. It's like, yes, this is good. Right? And so what's going to be very interesting to see over the next year is how brutal this gets. How brutal, how metaphorically bloody this gets, and what this is going to do to these AI companies, especially with all this circular finance. Oh, Lordy. They have put themselves in such crappy positions, right? Because we talk about the circular financing, right? So Microsoft owns a part of OpenAI. OpenAI is renting data center space or whatever from Microsoft. NVIDIA is selling their products to Microsoft. There's all of this kind of stuff going on. And all of those relationships, they're founded on the principle of, a pretty reasonable business environment. Okay, we're going to do this weird circular financing thing. And because we're doing this weird circular financing thing, nobody's going to start attacking each other, right? But what I think about with this is that whole story about the frog and the scorpion, right? So the frog comes up, to a stream. He's about to swim across a stream, and the scorpion says, hey, can I get a ride across the stream? And then the scorpion, or then the frog is a little worried. It's like, well, you're a scorpion. You might sting me. And then the scorpion says, well, yeah, but if I sting you in the middle of the water, then I'm going to drown too. We're both going to die. So there's no reason that I would sting you while you're having me go over. And the frog looks at the scorpion. That seems very reasonable, right? They're going halfway across a stream, and then the scorpion stings them. And then as the frog is going under the water, and as the scorpion is also going under the water, the scorpion's gonna die too in this particular story. The frog is like, why? We're both gonna die. It's like, I'm a scorpion. It's what I do. It's what I do. Even if it kills me in the process, I'm gonna sting you, right? And I think that's gonna be the interesting thing about this whole AI idiocy going on, is you have all of these companies who have well-documented histories of being complete and utter bastards. But now they're all tied to each other in this AI insanity. And what happens when the scorpions start realizing that they're scorpions? What's that got to do? And that's the big thing. Again, I'll hammer home when I talk about artificial intelligence. I talk about this with your organization. Is be careful about deploying this crap into your organization. This is not about the value of LLMs. This is not about total cost of ownership of ROI or whether AI is going to replace employees. What I want you to understand is my big argument with this whole AI idiocy right now is we do not know how this is going to pan out. They want you to super glue their AI services into the core of your infrastructure. All decision-making processes will go through their systems. And at this point in time, we have no idea how all of this is going to shake out, right? So if you're just using your old systems and maybe your employees are using some prompts or whatever in order to get ideas or do whatever else, and the AI world explodes, then you're going to be like, sucks, right? If you have made this the core of your systems, things will go to hell. I've talked about this with Oracle before, right? You had Oracle purchased Sun Microsystems, plus they purchased a lot of other projects. One of the projects they worked for, they purchased was this whole a server virtualization solution. I was going to put customers onto this. I had literally done all the research. We were going to start selling those to my customers. Oracle bought it and killed it. Here's the thing. I hadn't purchased a single license. Didn't really, it was a pain in the ass, but it didn't really matter that much to me. I think it was the Air Force. There was Air Force. There were major organizations out there that already had tens of thousands of licenses for this virtualization software. Just assume they'd be able to update, just assume they would be able to scale. Overnight, Oracle rips away that ability, right? We see this with VMware right now with Broadcom. Broadcom buys VMware. Broadcom realizes the quickest way to make money off of VMware is not to create better products, not to get more customers. It's to simply jack up the price on the current customers that they have. And VMware is so integral in their infrastructure, it cannot easily be ripped out. Tesco, I did a video, don't know if it's published yet. Tesco has to literally migrate 40,000 virtual machines off of VMware. It looks like it's going to take a year and a half. An accelerated and emergency migration off of VMware is still going to take a year and a half because Broadcom is doing what we do, right? And when you look at the actual examples of what happens in our industry, and then you look at the disaster coming down the pike for for artificial intelligence, I cannot fathom why you would put this and make these systems integral into your systems right now. Give it time. Give it time. But anyways, what do you think? What are your thoughts? Comment section down below. If you like these episodes, do remember they're on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. Link is down below. Also, if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, there's a link down there too. With that, see y'all later.